Welcome back to part 2 of the Pendulum Dowsing Masterclass with me, Faye Semple. So I'm a spiritual and business coach, really, spiritual life and business coach. And dowsing is one of the tools that I use. And yesterday in part 1, we looked at the mechanism for dowsing, how dowsing actually works, and how to understand or how to establish your yes and your no response. So if you've not already caught part 1 of the video training, I would love for you to go back and watch this, and you can come back to this video later because each of the videos is progressive. So it'd be nice for you to work through the videos in order so that you're not missing anything, you're not misinterpreting anything, and there are no misunderstandings. So today we're going to be looking at how to ask dowsing questions for consistent answers, because one of the problems I saw when people were dowsing, when I taught dowsing, was if they'd had some experience, they understood what their yes and their no responses were, but then they sort of slipped at the next hurdle, and this was asking quality dowsing questions. Clarity of detail is everything when it comes to dowsing. When I worked as a geomancer, I also worked in the equine environment using dowsing for health. The clarity of the detail in the questions is what enabled me to diagnose and things like racehorse injury, and to work with the vets to put a recovery and healing plan in process so that the horse could recover as quickly as possible. So the clarity in the question is absolutely everything. And what I really want you to think about as well is the process of dowsing starts long before we've even asked the question. So what you've got in your workbook is this lovely little illustration of like a ladder and a wall that you want to get over to give you the light bulb moment of knowing the answer. Because hallelujah, when we know we've got an answer to a sensible question that makes sense, that we know that we can act upon it, and it isn't going to come back and bite us on the bum later because it was, completely out the park, way off sensible and rational. So we want to look at how this dowsing process are. So if you like, this is the ladder. This is the 4-step ladder, or 3-step, 4-step ladder that you're going to climb. And this is the wall there. This is the wall of uncertainty, of confusion, of frustration, that you're going, I don't seem to be getting the answers right. I don't know what my pendulum's trying to tell me. I thought this was the right answer. It's turned out to be wrong. This is that wall of uncertainty, of confusion and frustration that you need to get over. And it's only by understanding the sequence to dowsing that what's going to get you there is going to get you over that wall into that light moment. So the first thing, rung number 1, which is number 1 in your workbook, is we need to relax. Now, what we don't want to be doing is asking questions when we're angry, agitated, upset, or we think, I need to know the answer now. That is no way to ask a dowsing question. We're not in the right mindset. We're not in a relaxed state, where our energy field is all over the place. We're not going to be able to receive that information, and we're probably going to allow our emotions to influence the answer. It's at those times that our dowsing will often produce the answer that we want to hear rather than the truth. And this is the important thing. When we're doing dowsing, we are seeking the truth, not a convenient answer, not an answer that's just that we want to hear, that might not give us the results that we want. Because when we're looking to grow and change and develop ourselves, whether we want to change our health, whether we want to change our relationships, whether we want to change our income, our job, our career, a lot of those decisions involve us changing and making changes and decisions that can be scary. And sometimes what we don't want is our dowsing to give us an answer that we want to hear, that makes us feel safe, but that's actually going to keep us in the same situation that we're in, the situation that ultimately we're trying to change. So we need to face the fact that we're going to have some answers that might be challenging to us, but it's only the truth that will set us really free. So we have to sometimes accept answers that we go, okay, that's going to mean big changes. That means I've got to go and tell my boss I'm leaving. That means I'm going to have to tell my partner we need to change the nature of this relationship. That means I'm going to have to, start my own business or side hustle to earn more money. But that's going to give me fulfillment, whereas my job doesn't. But that's a big step for me. So we sometimes have to accept that we're going to have to get answers that are going to be challenging. But there is no growth without challenge, because it's that challenge that enables us to grow into the people that we need to become to have the things that we want to have. It's that simple. There is no growth without change, and change is uncomfortable. You have to get comfortable feeling uncomfortable, and as soon as your uncomfortable starts to become comfortable, you have to push yourself to feel uncomfortable once again. That's the nature of the beast. So, but to douse with anything, we need to put ourselves into a relaxed state. So that means not dowsing when we're angry, agitated. Oh my God, is he going to dump me? Oh my God, am I going to see him again? Oh, is it a boy or a girl when you're dowsing pregnancies, that kind of thing. There's so much emotion tied up in those questions that we're likely to influence the answer. So we want to relax. And this means tuning in to how we feel and the bigger issue, tuning into our body as well. How do we feel? And using things like affirmations, saying, I can handle whatever the truth is. I'm open to receiving the abundance of the universe. I am safe. I am healthy. There is nothing that I can't achieve with the right energy. Relax, breathe, feel the bounds of your body. Tune into how you feel. If you have guides or, angels or whatever you believe will come and help you, or just tune into your bigger soul. Your body is bounded. Your soul is unbounded. It is vast. It is much bigger than can be contained within your body. Feel the vastness and power of your soul. You're an incredibly powerful being. It's just that life and how we think sometimes keeps us playing small. And dowsing is a way of breaking through those barriers. So relax. That's your first step. Know that no matter what the answer is, you can handle it. You can do it. No matter what it is, you can handle it and you can do it. And then there's the second step that we need to do before we even ask a dowsing question is to focus. You are in the driving seat when it comes to dowsing. So rung number 2 is focus. You are in the driving seat. It's no good asking a dowsing question and let's say you're asking, is it in my best interest to change my job? While you're at the same time thinking, I wonder if the supermarket's open late tonight. Because that is a recipe for disaster. You might get, no, it's not in my best interest to change a job. And then you go off after your evening meal to go shopping and you find out the supermarket was shut. You think, well, that's a bit odd. What your dowsing was actually answering was the more subconscious question that was filtering unheeded through your mind, not the one you thought you were focusing on, because actually you weren't focused on it because you were having these other thoughts. So we need to focus. And the best way to do this is to say the question out loud. It's to think the question in your head. It's to see it writing on chalk on a blackboard in front of you, or being typed across a piece of paper or something. But, picture it. Also feel the question. Picture it in your mind. Feel the question. Is it in my best interest to change my job? Feel what that feels like. Feel that. Picture yourself, making that decision, and focus on the question. Read those letters out in your head. Focus, 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 and focus again. Because if any kind of other thought comes into your head, you're likely to get a really confusing answer. So you can't ask one thing and be thinking about something else. So practice your focus. I say questions, I write them down, I read them. I will, I have it written in a big piece of paper in big black pen in front of me what that dowsing question is. This is a great way to practice this when you're learning, when you're not used to formulating dowsing questions and how the words put together. So the next part is what we call the dowsing sequence. And this is when you want to clear, again, make sure you're clear, go back to your relaxation state. Are you relaxed? Are you emotionally attached to the answer that you're likely to influence it? So you come back into your center again. You center yourself again. I can handle the answer. I can handle what's ever coming my way, because if it's coming my way, it's meant for me. And that's good. That's part of my soul development. And reconnect to how you feel again. Reconnect to the issue you're looking at. How important is it? How meaningful is it to you in your life? This is all about feelings more than words, because you're focusing on the question. So you can focus on the question and see, have I lost myself somewhere in my feeling and my connection to this question? Then refocus yourself on the question again. So that's really the sequence. We're making sure we're clear, we're centered, and we're connected, and then say the question again. So, and then finally, we get to the bit which is actually asking the question itself. So really, we're relaxing, we're focusing, on the question we want to ask. We've got the words clear in our head. We come back to the sequence of, am I clear? Am I centered? Am I connected? And then there's the actual art of crafting the question itself. What many people do is they ask broad and sweeping questions. What a question needs to be, this is not rung number 4, and you've got A, B, and C. The dowsing question needs to be precise, it needs to be explicit, and it needs to be unambiguous. So dowsing questions need to be precise, explicit, and unambiguous. Just write that out again, because that is really important. We do not ask broad and sweeping questions. We need to be precise. Absolutely. Clarity of detail is everything. So what many people do when they're starting to ask dowsing questions, they'll ask broad and sweeping questions that encompass more than one thing. So one of the examples I always give is a lady who came on a dowsing course with me, and I was talking about dowsing, getting yes and no response. Then I wanted to see what kind of questions people ask. So I said, now ask a dowsing question that you want to know the answer for. So she was at the front and she asked, should I move to live with my sister? And she got a really weird dowsing thing going all over the place. She says, well, what is wrong with that? And I said, well, there are several things that aren't right with that question. Can I use it as an example? So to start with, she asked, should I? Now, should I is subjective. We're looking for objective facts, not subjective feelings. Should I? Who's to say whether you should or not? To what end? For what purpose? This is the same as can I? If you dowsed a dowsing question started with can I could say, can I jump off a 100-foot cliff? Well, of course I can. There's actually nothing to stop me jumping off a 100-foot cliff. Is it in my best interest to jump off a 100-foot cliff without any means of safety? Of course, is another question, isn't it? The answer would then be no. Can I jump off a 100-foot cliff without any means of safety? The answer would be yes, of course you can, Faye. The fact that I plummet to my death is beside the point. The dowsing question would be correct and the answer would be correct. So things like can I, may I, and should I are all vague. They're all subjective. May I? Whose permission are you asking? You are sovereign. You have autonomy of your life. You are responsible for your decisions. Asking may I implies that there's some kind of force that is in control of your decisions. You are in control of your decisions. The universe does not care what decisions you make. All it cares about is that you have free choice to make them. You can make decisions in your own best interest, or you can make decisions that aren't in your best interest. So long as the choice is there, the universe is happy. What we're trying to do is make decisions and choices that are in our best interest. Decisions about what we eat, how we exercise, what we do for a living, the quality of our relationships, where we go on holiday, so that we can feel the maximum benefits. These are all decisions. We don't make massive change in our life by making massive decisions. We make big changes in our life by changing the quality of our everyday and small decisions. That's how we really build change. So what we don't want to do is ask broad and sweeping questions. So should I, can I, may I, they're all out the window. Forget them, sling them out the window where they belong. So should I move to live near my sister? So that's actually 3 questions. Should she move? I think no, what she asked was, should I move to live with my sister in the summer? That's 3 questions. Should she move? Or rather, is it in her best interest to move? Is a good location for her to be near her sister? And is August a timely and appropriate month to make that decision to do that? So we want to break things like that down. So the question we want to ask is it in my best interest, my long-term interests, or is it my best interest rather, to move house? Yes or no? Right? Is it in my best interest to move house? Yes or no? That's the first part. There's no point considering moving with your sister or when you're going to move. If the answer is no, stay here. Because we don't know what's coming at us in terms of, our conscious mind doesn't know what the universe has in store for us, but our subconscious mind has access to this field of information that knows everything. So if it says, no, it's not in my best interest to move, I don't move. But if we get a yes, we then need to know where. Is it in my best interest to live near my sister? Yes or no? It might be, yes, it's in your best interest to move, but perhaps not live near your sister. You might get a no for that. That's fine. And then we want to ask things like, when would it be timely and appropriate for me to move? And then we douse through the months: January, February, March, April, May. Or when is it timely and appropriate for me to put the house on the market to get the best results from the sale? January, February, March, and then you douse over the months to find out when your best time is. So we don't want to ask these broad and sweeping questions that lump many things together, and we don't want to start with vague and ambiguous openers like can I, may I, should I. They have no place in dowsing. So we always ask, is it in my best interest? Would I benefit from? And then we'll move into sort of things like calibration techniques, which you can learn, which is, how much would you benefit from? So you can get a good idea of what the benefit would be. So those are the things we need to ask. And it's always useful to have a few qualifying questions as well at the end. So you want to ask things, again, that are concise, explicit, and unambiguous. Things like, have I misunderstood the information in any way? Have I misinterpreted the information in any way? And that way you can qualify what you have dowsed to make sure you're on the right track. So this has been session 2. This has been how to ask questions for consistent answers. So in session 1, we don't really know how dowsing works, and we don't know what our dowsing responses are. So in session 1, we understood how dowsing actually works with this information and energy coming in and out, but it's not as language, so we have to put it in a usable form. And that's why we create a yes or no response with our dowsing. And in this session, we've looked at how to ask dowsing questions, because this is particularly important. This is, once we get that wording right and that clarity of the detail, then we will definitely get yes or no answers that we know are correct, because we've asked this clear, concise, and unambiguous question. Now, the next video tomorrow, we'll look at, are we influencing our answer? Because that's the next hurdle that people get to. They'll ask questions which I've touched on about they're emotive. They're very powerful for us. Big decisions like, would I benefit from ending this relationship? Would I benefit from moving house? Would I benefit from changing career? Would I benefit from starting my own business? Would I benefit from a different exercise regime? Would I benefit from cutting out alcohol from my diet? Things that are emotional, we may be using them as mental or emotional support mechanisms. And we might think, oh my God, how am I going to cope without my glass or bottle, like I used to drink, of wine every night because I was self-medicating. You know, what was I going to replace that with to give me a good chance of getting over my alcoholism? All those things are challenging. But if we are asking those questions to give us the answers that give us the maximum chance of success, then we've got much more chance of succeeding. So, but we also want to know that we are not influencing our answer in any way, because it's very, very easy to do that when issues are important, they're emotive, and they're going to require us to make sort of a level of change and things in our life that we can find scary and challenging. So we might know that it's in our best interest to end a relationship, for instance, but the thought of doing it, what that means for our friends, our family, perhaps you've got children, your housing situation, it's much easier to get to influence your answer that will say, is it in my best interest to end this relationship? No. Oh, thank God for that. Because now I haven't got to go through all those difficulties. And we've influenced our answer. In the long run, the universe says for you to be you, and you to be free, and you to fulfill your potential, this relationship has run its course. But there can be huge amounts of difficulty in that. So session 3, the next video, we're looking at how we can ensure that we are not influencing our answer. So there'll also be homework prompts after this that will be in the Facebook group for you. So do go in and complete those prompts, and the prompts to help you fill in the workbook rather. And there's your homework question, which was, have your dowsing questions been well informed and clear in the past? And you might want to formulate some questions of things that aren't too personal, that you don't mind sharing, so I can have a look at your wording, so I can offer you some assistance. And I will see you in video 3.